Hi, it's Kamon Reynolds. What instant vap should I use? So if you're thinking about one of these models, we have a lot of things for you, information, accessories, differences in the model, burn time, and 5% off. Right now, they're doing that for our followers, so that's down in the comment below or in the description. There's a code, and you can go through that. If you're getting one, you can save 5% off, and so that can help you out a little bit. Or if you're coming to the North American Honeybee Expo, they always have even better deals at our expo. And plus you get to talk to them in person because they know a little bit more than I do. At the end of this video, I'm going to have charts. They're super easy to understand that shows you even more technical differences between all of these models. And I really appreciate Janos for putting those together for me. Janos is the creator of these products. I want to say a big thank you to Rob and his mom and the whole team for taking care of all of us here in the United States, and also providing us with, coming to the conference and all that kind of stuff. So let's get to it. There is a lot to discuss here. So this is the original model. It's a little blockier. The handle's loose. I've used it a bunch though. I've never had any issues with any of these vaporizers plugging up on me, failing on me so far. And we run a couple hundred colonies, and so we use them a pretty good bit. And the thing that really makes these nice is they don't plug up. The barrel is brass. All of these are equipped with a brass barrel that's threaded. If you somehow manage to break this, let me know. Send me a picture. I might even send you a hat or something as a thank you, because how in the world are you breaking it anyways? If you could get a little tiny cannonball and put it in there, you could then fire it out of this brass barrel. It's really nice. And the reason I like that is the old models were all soft copper. And I would accidentally drop it and boom, that thing breaks off. It bend and it wouldn't stay in the hive. So I love that feature with all of these. But the original model is similar in a lot of ways. They all have these plungers that dispenses the oxalic acid and adjusts. And they are absolutely awesome. What I love about these units, I've been able to see the inside components of these units, and it's like all of the areas are not corrosive. So whether it's a ground screw, no matter what it is, you can know that the inside is also built just as good as it is on the outside. It's super impressive, the size of wire that they use. These things are really over-engineered, and that's why I don't know anyone personally who's had issues with theirs. But the few people who have, there's been one of the original issues, I suppose, that wasn't a big deal if you were reading the instructions, was sometimes if you try to clean this out with a little bit of water, you can get it down in there and actually get it into the insulation, and that could sometimes have been a little bit of an issue. But if you clean it out properly, it's not a big deal. The newer models you don't run into that the same way. So that's one thing. There's a difference there. The newer originals are better than this old model though. But I got to say, the original, while it works good, it's a little bit bigger than it needs to be. These are more ergonomic, and I really like the compact as something for my size. So you're like, Kamon, I don't run a couple hundred hives. I just have a few hives. Don't ever plan on getting more than maybe 5. Well, then that's where the Instant Vap Lite really comes into play. This is a slower unit, but it's still built just as durable. It has a little light here. It's a simple blinking system. Not to be confused with the beeping system. That's a bad vaporizer, by the way. Laurel's giving me a head shake of disapproval. We're off to a great start. So as you can see with the turbo, all of these that have a blinker, like the compact, the Instant Vap Lite, and this turbo model, it has this system right here. And so if it's heating up, it's like blink, blink. And if it's ready to go, ready to treat, it's solid red. And then if it's treating, it's a fast blink, 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 blink. And then when your battery runs out of juice, it's just a double blink, 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 blink. So it's super easy. I love that simple system. I can see it from 10, 20, 30 feet away. The thing of it is with the turbo, you can't get that far away. It's ready to treat within like 10 seconds. And so I really like this model, the turbo model. It's so darn fast. And there's something that we've got to talk about is oxalic acid preservation. So I'm going to try to hit that later on in the video. They have done so much innovation and worked with universities and researchers to find out how much oxalic acid is actually getting into your hive. So we're going to have some of those charts at the end of the video as well. You can look at those. It's primarily addressing the Instant Vap Turbo, but they also have done the research for these other units. So getting back to the Instant Vap Lite, it's a little bit slower, but it's very simple. It's that's what I love. It's a simple machine that's strongly built. It's not going to go out on you. It's in the mid $300 range, and it's really nice. The Instant Vap Original, to me, if I'm going to personally, I'm just going to go ahead and get this. It's actually a little bit cheaper to get the Instant Vap Compact. I like the blinking system. It's slightly more efficient on battery usage over the original because the original has this all this readout right here. And I know these guys. I've seen their data. I've seen the other data. They set these at the right temperature. I personally don't see any reason why I want to change the thermostat at all on these things. So the turbo is set at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. I believe that's 260 degrees Celsius. I'm not a Celsius person. I have to talk to a Canadian or somebody like that. Talk to Ian Stepler. 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And I mean to tell you, it just cooks through that stuff. And there's a really fine line, because if it gets hot a couple hundred degrees, 300 degrees, and it takes a long time to vaporize, it degrades the oxalic acid because it's sitting on it too long. But then if it goes way too hot, it degrades it. There's a sweet spot in the middle. And I'm not the best person to address this. I'll have another link to a video where we interview the guy who designed this and also worked with all those folks to do the research. But the difference between a great vaporizer and one that's just thrown together, because anybody can heat something up and shoot what appears to be oxalic acid into the hive, could be the difference between 3 to 4 times the oxalic acid. And a lot of us, years ago, were using vaporizers. We thought we were getting most of our oxalic acid, and we were only maybe getting 25 to 30%. So this is a big deal. So the Instant Vap Lite, I think, is perfect for your smaller beekeepers. You know, probably someone who has 10 hives. You could go beyond that, but it's typically your smaller beekeeper. Nice, durable unit. The original, if you like this style, is great, but personally, I think the compact is the sweet spot for most of us. The turbo is very similar. The difference is you have this readout here. You actually can change the temperature if you want to. It also keeps track of how many treatments that you've made. This is really a more professional commercial model. If you have employees and you're sending them out to treat 100 hives and there's only been 50 treatments, Laurel's not going to feed me dinner, basically, if I don't get the treatments done. So this thing keeps me accountable. That's why Laurel bought this. So now she knows if I've been working hard or not. Darn technology. Laurel's giving me the disappointed face. That's strike 2. So the turbo has some of these extra options, and it is faster, but a little bit of the consequence of the readout and the extra wattage is it slightly uses more battery than the compact. And so you're going to get a little bit more treatments out of your Instant Vap Compact versus this unit. You're like, Kamon, well, what's the difference in time here? It's a little bit more than double, I believe, the time frame on treatment with the compact. So if you're looking at 10 seconds here for 2 grams, you're probably looking like 25 seconds, thereabouts. That I can't remember exactly that chart at the end of the video. It's going to have that, and so you don't have to worry about those crazy YouTubers making mistakes. It happens, it really does. So the compact I really like because both of these models, if you're running it into a pallet, and I use 4-way pallets now, but even if you're using a regular single bottom board, they just fit right in there quite nicely and sit. All of these can handle the battery weight too, which is really impressive. And like I said, they come in several different models of batteries, so like Milwaukee's, Rigid, DeWalt, of course, Bosch, Hitachi, and I know I'm missing like one or so, but anyways, there's several of them that they take, and so you may already have some. It usually takes 1 amp hour to heat each one of these units. That chart will show you this information. But so this is a 9 amp hour battery, and I use this for my bee blower whenever I'm clearing supers and there's a few stubborn bees in there. We just aim it towards the hive or the entrance and just blow them out, and they can just walk right into the hive. And it does it. I'm sure it rocks their world a little bit, but thankfully the bees are made to deal with wind storms and stuff like that to a degree, and they all do quite well. But so a good 9 amp hour battery, 1 amp hour is going to go towards just warming the thing up. But depending on how much oxalic acid I use, I am going to probably get on a big battery like this, oh goodness gracious, probably 40 treatments. You know, maybe a little bit less if I'm going heavy on the oxalic acid, maybe a little bit more if I'm going really light. So what would I do? For a double deep, I've dropped it down to about 4 grams. I was actually getting a little heavy-handed. You know, this arthritis starting to kick up in my old age and stuff like that. I was trying to stick to the rules, right? But the problem is we were seeing better results with more oxalic acid. You know why? It's because when I was doing most of my tests, I wasn't using instant VAPs at that time. And the vaporizer I was using, I was getting a lot less oxalic acid in my hive, so my results weren't as good. So now that we actually know this information, and I appreciate guys like Randy Oliver working with Janos and other people as well, that I now backed it off to about 4 grams for a double deep. And so that saves me on oxalic acid. I get more treatments for the battery time, and also, you know, it's just why do all that? It just saves me time and money. So the Instant Vap Turbo, getting to use it a little bit here lately, it is stinking fast. 2 grams is about 8 to 10 seconds. And I'm just right to the next one. Boom, boom, boom. And it's just fantastic. For me, I really like, again, how strong they are on the front. You can drill a hole into any part of your hive if you want to. Just make sure it's not hitting a frame. This is really critical information. I've observed this so many times, and everyone who's done studies on this will tell you the same thing. Oxalic acid cools down rapidly, and at that point, as it sublimes, that's really what it does. It doesn't technically just vaporize it, it really sublimes. And so it goes from a solid into a vapor and then back to a solid really quickly. So as it cools down, it gets a thin layer over the bees or the woodenware, everything in there. Oxalic acid breaks down into formic acid, very organic. It breaks down into H2O. Be careful, some people drown in that stuff. And then also CO2. So, you know, when Laurel's sleeping and breathing on me at night, oh, that's strike 3. I'm out. Too far. I knew I should have had that coffee this late. Thank goodness for editing. So, that being said, CO2, very dangerous stuff. See how much trouble it just got me in? So, that all that to say, oxalic acid is very natural stuff. It's in honey. If you eat salads, you get tons of it in natural organic salads. Obviously, anything in excessive dosages can be bad. And the bees thankfully breathe differently than we do, because if they breathe like we do, we wouldn't be able to use this in the hive. They breathe through the spiracles. We have our lungs that we're breathing, you're pulling it in, and it will hurt our lungs to breathe it. So you've got to use a respirator. I'm kind of skipping ahead into the accessories here, but we're going to have a link down below for these as well. You need to have the organic vapor level masks. The regular ones for like sawdust and stuff won't protect you from this. And you know, that's the main thing, is you don't want it in your lungs. And it's good to wear safety glasses as well. But these models right here, they protect the OA to the best of their ability, and I can get away with less oxalic acid. And so I'm doing about 4 grams to one of these units, and so that's fantastic. All right, so let's get to the accessories and stuff like that. There's several things that you can do. And what I was talking about earlier is these things are really strong. You can drill a hole into a hive, and I was talking about that rapid cool down, and that's where I kind of segued myself terribly, derailed the train, so to speak. And oxalic acid needs to be able to go into an open space into your hive. So the entrance is great. It needs to spread out, and then the bees need to fan it and circulate it through the hive so everything gets covered. If you have it close to a frame or anything like that, where it's within an inch or two, it is just going to, the majority of the oxalic acid, and I'm not talking like 40%, we're talking over 50% of the oxalic acid is going to build up on that frame. And so a lot of it is not going to get on your bees where it needs to be. You know, they'll probably eventually maybe chip it off, but we see this where we've done that, where we've drilled it too close to a frame, and we just get all this buildup on that frame. Or you have to be really careful. You drill a hole and you have it right up against another piece of wood, and it can't go anywhere, and you got a lot of stuff under pressure. Boo! Just make sure your head's on over the top of that, right? So if you are going to drill a hole, it can handle the battery weight. It'll hold itself with all of these cleats and spikes to not slip or anything like that, but you must ensure that the entrance is clear. And I recommend having something like a a golfing tee. You can slip that in once you're done with the treatment, and then you can pull it out when you're ready to use this, so you know the bees haven't propolised that up, because you also don't want to just fill this full of propolis. That won't be any good. So a nice little drill bit right here is very handy for when you're doing that. Here's a little bit of a piece that's good for insulative purposes. If you're doing it in really cold temperatures, or you want to get a little bit more efficiency out of your battery, this can be helpful. I typically don't use it. It's typically fairly warm when I'm treating. I don't like to treat when it's under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Doesn't mean that you can't, but whenever the bees are really tightly clustered, this stuff doesn't work that good, because it needs to be able to get over all of the bees uniformly. And if there's a tight cluster, everything in the center is getting missed. And that's probably where the mites are going to be that are on the bees, because they want the warmth too. The outside bees are cooler. So that's what I would assume. No scientific research there, but if I'm a mite, I'm going to be snug as a bug in the middle of the cluster. That was terrible. So this insulative piece right here can be helpful. Just slips over there, and also helps not get so much oxalic acid spillage on the top. Just makes it look kind of like a nicer unit. These little units right here hold water, and whenever we're done, we let the thing warm up and read the instructions. But in the past, I've let it warm up to almost the full temperature, but now they're saying not quite full temp, still quite hot though, enough to generate steam, and it just steam cleans your unit. And we do that in between every yard. So a yard for me is about 40 colonies, and then we run one of these. And I like to, you can get your own ammo can. I got this one from Larabi's because it's got a couple extra features to hold some of my plungers and stuff like that. But you can get a really nice ammo can. I've purchased some of the Chinese ammo cans. They fall apart faster than you can say Jack Sprat. I got one from Harbor Freight, no good. If I was going to not get one of these, I would get one of the ones from a GI Depot store or something like that, where it's got the real American made ones. If you drop it on your foot, you're going to have to go to the hospital for all your toes being broken. Those are nice, and it's really a safety issue too. These things need to be cool before they touch anything. 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Whew. So you can put it in here, and that really gives you some protection. And possibly there still could be a little bit of vapor coming out of there even after we clean this with the water. Sometimes there's still just a little bit of residual stuff that you could possibly get in your truck or something. You just don't want that around where your kids are going to be. So whenever we're done for the day, I usually clean it twice. Is it necessary? Probably not, but that's what I do. Make sure you clean it out after every time you're done, and you just basically take this right here, flip it down onto the water, and then it's you just hold this and flip it over. Obviously make sure that the barrel is not plugged, and then we warm it up part of the way one more time to ensure all of the water in there is not sitting. We want that completely dried out, and then Bob's your uncle. Aren't you, Bob? So, oxalic acid, there's several, there's some options out there. This is one that's veteran owned here in the United States by Easy Ox, Mike's Bees LLC, and this is what we use, and it's also provided by Larabi's and this company and several other great companies. You can get these vaporizers from a lot of places too. A lot of your stores around the country sell these instant vaps, and if you're outside the United States, a lot of countries are carrying these units, and if they're not, you got to ask the question why. I really should charge for this video. That's pretty good marketing right there. I like DeWalt because I already had a bunch of stuff. So a 6 amp hour battery I think is a good size, especially if you're doing a turbo or a compact. This is the battery I'm going to use. And I'm thinking, for me personally, this is the hobbyist. This one is the same thing as the compact, but I'm going to go with the compact. And I'm like, this is good for hundreds of hives right here. And this one really is too. It's just how impatient are we? This is the impatient model. It's also the accountability model, to where if you have employees, you can really see how much they've treated. And it's a really nice unit with more power. So I say impatient, that's not the right way to say it. It's a commercial model. Gotta get better on that marketing. So again, very simple tools right here. I love the cleaning system. It works fantastic. The insulation can be really helpful, but again, I want, like Christmas Day, usually it's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes even 60. I prefer snow for Christmas, but we usually get mud instead. And so because it sours my attitude, I go wish the mites Merry Christmas around that time and really bring in the Yuletides to them. Roasted mites on an open. Okay. Laurel, what's into me today? I don't know what's going on. I'm full of oxalic acid and vinegar, I suppose. So, this is the options. I'm going to leave the charts. You know, as far as logistics, they're great to transport in these little units. They're a high-quality vaporizer, and some people are like, man, this guy is just bought and paid for with these things, but no. I really just love this product, and my goal with our conference, my goal with our YouTube channel, is to see the bee industry go forward. And there's other good vaporizers out there too. This is just my favorite. And there's some new innovations. The cool thing is, because of these models and what Instant Vap has done for the vaporizing industry, we've seen a massive amount of innovation from other companies competing, and that just makes them better. And several of the people I know that own those other ones are very excited with what they're seeing because they're fans of those other companies. So that's awesome. We want to see this in the bee suit industry. We want to see this in the woodenware industry, every part of beekeeping. We want companies that are innovating cool technologies, even excessive accessories, because they do it in all the other categories. I mean, have you seen sporting goods stores? Have you seen hunting stores? Have you seen gardening? Oh, there's knickknacks for everything. Why not beekeepers? We deserve knickknacks too. But we want knickknacks that go with something awesome, not just a pure knickknack. Too many knickknacks in this industry. But these are not knickknacks. These are something to go good. This is the tool, and this is the dressing. Laurel, let's get to those little things at the end that make us look like we know what we're talking about. Insert information here. Thanks for watching this video.